Hi, welcome to Literary Gladiators, where debate literature in all its forms. It's written work, it's game. Let's meet the panel.
Hi, I'm Brian.
I'm Kaila.
I'm Tori.
And I'm Dan. And today we're doing Preacher, Book 1. We've got the discussion started.
I do. I think overall, my discussion starter would be about the gore and intensity of like the artwork and I guess just the plot in general, and if you guys thought it was necessary and what you thought the authors were trying to like portray with that.
I feel it's somewhat necessary. I mean, the main character is possessed by a creature who's half angel, half demon.
Right.
So it kind of makes sense that you have all this supernatural power. Thing is, eventually, the thing is, supernatural beings that exist in the world will start coming after you. So I feel the thing is, it was kind of necessary, you know.
Okay.
I mean, it was. Oh, sorry.
I mean, the thing is like, yeah, they could have toned it down, but I feel the thing is that it was kind of necessary for the story they're trying to tell.
Right.
Yeah. Well, let's say I don't think it was necessary. I think it was appropriate, if that makes any sense. Like, I don't think all that gore is ever necessary.
Right.
But like, there's also being like too PC, and I'm somebody who was like spoon-fed Disney growing up, so I'm just like, it's okay. But like, it tells the story. There's a reason for it. It's not like The Walking Dead where it's like super zoom in on somebody's arm getting chomped off for 5 full minutes.
Yeah.
So like, there was gore, but it helped set the tone for where the story was going, and it set the atmosphere for the like dire straits. Yeah. And it also helped paint the universe that you were kind of getting introduced into. So while I was kind of like at the gore at first, it kind of made more sense as you went along. Like, oh, okay, so now we understand the character's abilities.
Right.
What kind of world is like Tarantino-esque feeling you're gonna be like set into. So that's where I would stand.
Yeah, so I would say like, yeah, I guess you'd say appropriate.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's like a necessary evil.
I've definitely read much gorier books than this.
Right.
So the thing is, it didn't really bother me too much. But yeah, there is a lot of gore in it. But the thing is, like, I feel the thing is, as she said, is appropriate for the story.
There's like just the right amount of gore for the story. if that makes any sense. I haven't read too many graphic novels, especially not like mainstream graphic novels.
Right.
So like, that's a little bit surprising to me. I'm still kind of getting into that kind of stuff, and I find it a fascinating medium. But like, it wasn't too much where I was like, I have to put this down. I can't read this.
Yeah, I disagree. I think it was like, and I'm not opposed to gore. I think it was just a little bit too much for me. Like, I'm not gonna read the second book because it wasn't what I expected it to be, and it didn't. To me, the gore didn't necessarily feel entirely necessary. Like,
I
it was
really
just
want
a
to read
little
the second
bit.
book after reading this. Like,
Yeah.
It's got me hooked now. Like, I saw the show, and the thing is, like, that's why I wanted to read this. Now I kind of want to read the second.
Now I
novel.
want to see the show because I've seen the cast for that
Oh,
show.
the show
and
is
it's different.
The show
and
is
it's
kind of
very
funny.
interesting.
They got a dark sense of humor in that show.
Well, the book has a dark sense of humor. Like
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, I didn't know the things that the two were very much alike. Yeah. It's
I
very.
saw the first episode of the show, and it was great. It was very well cast and it grabs you with the cast, you know.
Yeah.
It definitely grabs you with the story, you know, down and out preacher, you know, where the hell is God and why is he, you know.
Yeah. Guy
what's
just
he
like
doing?
ran off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that's
a very interesting concept.
Yeah.
I will say this much: it nearly lost me with the gore. It nearly lost me with, and I know this is eye roll, the fridging of Tulip, and then all of a sudden that like 13th inning, like out of nowhere, Tulip comes back.
Yeah.
And for a second, I thought it was like that after, like, she's dead and and like she really came back.
Right.
And then
That threw me, and I was like, okay, this is the first time that
okay.
we're really touching on, like, straight up supernatural. Like, yeah, obviously, whatever, Preacher can actually do supernatural things, but this is the first thing you're seeing that's, like,
she's completely
whoa.
unscathed. She comes back, and God's just like, tell him to, like, stop.
Yeah.
Right.
And no strings attached.
Yeah.
Just, like, tell him to stop.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, I thought that was a bit of a cop out.
I don't know if it was cop-out. I thought it was intriguing, because let me tell you.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, like, I feel like they should know more of that.
This is what I'm going to say. As a female reader, in any source of media, if there's a female love interest, dollars to donuts, their death is to progress the main character. her resurrection, which might still fall in that subsection of fridging, her resurrection, her living was a source of plot progression. And I thought that was an intriguing, like, okay.
And it's like now we don't have to deal with Jesse, like, coming back from the death of her, because now we just get to see them, like, how the two of them are going to handle their shit going forward.
So that was an intriguing source of material right there. I was like, okay, all right.
What I want to talk about is the character, or I guess you say spirit, Genesis. Because I found that very funny that he's called Genesis, because he's half angel, half demon, you know, like a rival God's power. Which, in the book Genesis, you know, like, I guess that you say Bible, like the book Genesis, there's a mention of creatures that are half angel, half demon, known as Nephilim. Alright, which I guess he could be considered a Nephilim, because he is half angel, half demon.
Yeah, absolutely.
I found that kind of funny. The thing is, like, do you think they named him that on purpose? Because the things
yeah.
Nephilim are from the book of Genesis?
Dude, absolutely. Yeah.
Because we
There's
don't know
no-
what Genesis Endgame is here either, just
Yeah,
from
no.
book 1. So for all we know, he could be coming down here to start the Nephilim.
And quite frankly, like,
Well, the Four Horsemen
he's
of
the
Apocalypse are Nephilim.
genesis of something new. Like,
Yeah, right.
If you want to look at the core word as well, like, it was very kind of like on the nose.
Yeah.
No.
And the thing is, like, as I mentioned, Nephilim, like, the most powerful Nephilim are the Four Horsemen. Those are Nephilim. At least that's according to the book of Genesis. I don't know too much about Nephilim or anything like that. But, yeah, the thing is, I found that kind of interesting. The thing is that they named him Genesis, and they mentioned that he's half angel, half demon, which is a Nephilim. And I thought, oh, is this on purpose, or is this completely by coincidence?
No, I don't think anything in this book is by coincidence.
No,
No.
It's
Whoever
very
did this, like,
heavy-handed.
yeah, they really thought about where this plot was going and, like, where this
It
story
definitely
was
plays
gonna
on a lot of the, you know, biblical stories. Yeah.
Well, I think you need to have a heavy influence from the Bible to be able to question, to
The
throw such
Bible.
questions,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
as where is God, and then put it forth as, I'll tell you where God is, we don't know. And that kind of stuff. So I think, like, you need to have a very good grasp on the source content if you're
Yeah.
going to delve into that, because you're going to have a lot of
Well, you name
people
it
swimming
preacher.
at
The
you.
thing is, you kind of have to
That's
know
it, yeah.
the Bible.
So I find that intriguing, that, like, Genesis is so powerful because it is a new concept. It is godly in its own right. So you have this preacher who was questioning, you know, God, where are you? And a different God answered by kind of giving
Oh, yeah,
him
good
that
point.
divine presence.
Yeah.
It's an interesting.
Yeah, it's an
idea.
interesting twist.
Yeah.
And what do you do with a mortal who now has this supernatural ability? Somebody who was questioning God, and the only way to be able to find somebody who is, like, born again like that would be someone who was down on their knees, like, cursing God.
Yeah, and
So.
I think too what's interesting is Jesse's, like, concept of morality through all of this is, like, he's like, yeah, we can kill people, but, like, only if they've done something wrong. It's very, like, Dexter-esque, where he's like a serial
Yeah,
killer,
that's-
but only
the gray
for people
morality.
who-
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Isn't
kinda
that
like Punisher.
moralist?
Punisher, yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So there's a term for it. It's subjective moralism, or
sure sounds good.
I can't remember. There's a specific term for it, and I know.
Anti-hero?
No.
Oh.
It's a specific philosophical, like, concept where it's every situation has its own boundaries, where it says this is right, this is wrong. So you can't apply it to everything. So, like, you approach someone and they stole, like, 2 cents worth of candy. You're not going to chop their hand off.
Right.
Versus the person who, like, threw a baby down a well. You might
Right.
chop their hands off.
Right.
So, like, that kind of, it's there's a term for it, and if you watch The Good Place, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But, and because they do a whole episode on that. But, like, it's an actual term. So, anyway,
We can probably put it in the description
Angie.
so we find out.
sorry. Somebody, if you comment down below and say, like, Tori, you're a dummy, it's this. And
Hey,
I
Josh,
appreciate
just put it up on the screen.
Right there. It's right there. Hopefully. This is the other thing that I thought was very interesting. It gave his origin story right off the bat. It was
Yes.
later
Yeah.
in the book, but I would expect
It was still
that
pretty
kind of
early.
big.
It was such an origin. Like,
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like that.
You know,
like,
such a dramatic origin
Yeah.
story told right at the get-go, where you were like, okay, I completely understand this dynamic character now, where I feel like that dark and tragic past would have been held for something like farther down when we're running out of content or something like that. Like, this story is very well worked, and the world and the universe that it falls into is so well defined by his character. Everything he did is like justified up until that point. And you're like, I understand the framework that I'm looking at now. So the violence and all that kind of stuff, while over the top, makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's world building and revealing. This is the other thing that the book did, I think, so well. It showed instead of tell. There's not a lot of like expositional dumping. There's a lot of, okay, I'm going to take the reader by the hand and show you by.
Well, I think that's
in a
like
flashback.
the beauty you get when reading a graphic novel is you don't have passages and passages of this is what the background looks like.
And that's
this
why I
is
kind
where
of like
we're
graphic novels.
setting
So
up.
they
You're
have
jumping right in.
They know when to show, not tell.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember which one. There's one where literally like half a page is just like text, and I'm like, this is a graphic novel.
Yeah.
Why am I reading a novel?
Yeah.
It's a graphic novel.
Yeah.
So I think they do a very good job with that aspect of it.
There's a graphic novel I read, which the thing is like there's absolutely no text whatsoever.
See, that kind of stuff is really interesting.
And the thing is like you can understand what's going on. And the thing is like I know it's not Preacher, but the thing is it's a completely different one. It's like Deadpool Funeral for a Freak Part 1. It says like the main part is enough said. Right? The only line is from Deadpool in the beginning is like saying, I'm dead. And the things you see how everyone reacts to his death, and the things it's just like there's no words here.
But yeah, I think by framing what a terrible, horrible story, childhood he had up front in the story, moving forward, it's like, okay, what a buck wild universe we're involved in. I'm almost intrigued where we're gonna go from there. Like, how do you get bigger than, grandma or whatever, mama?
And that's what I was just gonna say. I think what's also really interesting is they offed his big villain right then and there. Like,
right there.
It was just like no holds barred, and
so
now
going
forward, we're like, who's our big bad gonna be?
The big bad had God.
Yeah.
God had her. Let me rephrase that. God had her.
Yeah.
And that's what empowered her and her whole entire cohort, which makes you question, okay, what's going on here? Why is God on her side?
Right. Yeah.
This
He
crazy,
literally said, sure, kill her.
racist jerk.
Yeah.
Yeah. And very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's still like 9 more books or something like that.
Yeah.
So it makes you wonder.
So at the very least, they have me for
That's
like
why I want to
another
continue
round of
reading, because the
books.
thing is like, now we know like more of the angels are getting involved. The thing is, they kill off the big bad, so I wonder who the other bad is going to be. Are there more villains that's going to appear? So the thing is, that's why I really want to read what continues after this, because the thing is, this was really good. It has like a lot of things I liked. It had a great story. It was just over the top insane, but not too over the top insane where I couldn't follow what's going on.
It was at times cinematic, where you're like, I can totally see this translating well. Yeah.
And the thing is, like, there's the thing is, in excess of gore, I do like that. Adds a little bit of more of character to the story.
It's done in a way where you can say like, okay, it's justified.
Yeah, and he's kind of like the kind of characters I like anti-heroes, where like the thing is like they kill the bad guys. Because the thing is like, I've read a lot of heroes. I'm just like, you let like kind of like with Batman. What kind of annoys me is like you let the Joker go after he killed a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, okay.
Yeah. I understand why Batman does it. It's just the thing is, I feel that things like, how many times can you arrest the same guy and things then escape into the things where you're like, just kill him?
I feel like Batman has his own flaws story-wise. Like, that's a soapbox for another day, but like, that's a suitcase to unpack in another episode. But
So, any final thoughts?
For me, I really enjoyed it, and I also liked. Like I said, I only saw like 1 or 2 episodes of the TV adaptation, but what sticks out in my mind is the character of Tulip, because in the show, I don't think it's a whole episode, but there was a couple scenes where just such a badass, and you could really see her character come out in just a couple scenes, and so that's what I have to say. And
Empowering female characters.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
and not a pandering character. Like, she feels like she's genuinely like this really interesting dynamic character who I'm intrigued to see more of.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'm interested to see more, and I guess I'd give it a 4 out of 5.
I'll give it a 3 out of 5. I really like the storyline, but like I said, it just wasn't like my style as far as graphic novels go. But it was like I liked the story.
I'm giving it a 3.5 because while like it was on the gorier side and simplistic in a way that it's shown, it does so in a way where it's adequate and justified. So I'm intrigued. I wouldn't refer this to anybody. I wouldn't say like, oh wow, this is a really good story. But it's enough for me to be intrigued to be like, okay, I'll bite. I'll read at least like the next round of books. So a 3.5 for me.
I have to give it 4, just like mine. I feel it was a very good story. I like where it was going, and I just like the crazy supernatural aspect of it. And unlike Tori, I would actually recommend it to other people, and I have. So yeah, I find it to be a very good story. Not the greatest thing I've ever read, but the thing is, it's definitely a good story, and the thing is, I definitely recommend picking it up.
It's entertaining.
Yeah.
If you're into that sort of thing.
Alright, so the book is Preacher. This is book 1. There's, how many did you say? Like 9 others?
9.
Yeah, 8 or 9 or something.
So like there's like almost 10 maybe. So things, pick it up and oh yeah, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, y'all.
So
Have
that
fun.
just, yeah, 2020. Where's my flying car? So that does it here for us at Literary Gladiators. Until next time, keep reading.